You've heard of the mighty Roman legions. You've seen Hollywood glamorize the Spartans. But have you ever heard of ghost cavalry that could vanish into the forest, then reappear behind enemy lines? Welcome to the story of the Oyo Empire's cavalry, a military machine so fast, so precise, and so feared that rival kingdoms believed they had supernatural speed. And today, you're about to find out why. Let's go back in time. 17th century West Africa. The Oyo Empire, located in what is now southwestern Nigeria, wasn't just another kingdom. It was a dominant force, a superpower of its time. And at the heart of its power, not just kings and politics, but horses, thousands of them. Now here's the mind-blowing part. Horses weren't native to southern West Africa. They came from the Sahel, dry lands to the north. So how did the Oyo people build one of the most feared cavalry forces in West African history? One word: innovation. First, logistics. While other kingdoms relied on foot soldiers and slow-moving war bands, the Oyo cavalry was lightning fast. Thanks to trade routes with the Hausa and Nup, the Oyo imported Sahelian horses, bred them in northern territories, and trained elite riders known as the Eso, the feared warrior nobility. Now picture this: thick forests, narrow paths, and hidden villages. You'd think cavalry would be useless here, right? Wrong. The Oyo cavalry didn't just ride, they glided. They had a secret tactic: use of the tsetse-free zones. These were areas where the deadly tsetse fly, which kill horses, didn't exist. The Oyo knew every inch of these paths. Their horses were moved through strategic corridors, safe, fast, and unknown to their enemies. It was like having invisible roads that only they could see. When it came to battle, their tactics were brutal and genius. The first strike was always psychological. Oyo cavalry charged with loud war horns, horse bells, and brightly colored fabrics that shimmered in the sun. To many villages, it was as if thunder itself was galloping toward them. But the real tactic? Divide and encircle. They'd split into three flanks. Two smaller units curved outward while the center feigned a retreat. The enemy, thinking they were winning, chased the center, only to be surrounded from the sides by the wings of the cavalry. Classic hammer and anvil, but with West African flavor. Now get this, the Eso warriors had their own code. They weren't just riders, they were living legends. Each Eso had a war name, earned in blood, and they followed the chilling command of the Ara Onakakanfo, the supreme military leader, a title so feared that anyone who bore was expected to either conquer or die. There was no retirement. And speaking of strategy, the Oyo didn't just fight to win, they fought to control. Cavalry raids weren't about destruction. They were about intimidation and tribute. Instead of burning towns, they'd leave them standing under Oyo rule. Think mafia, but on horseback. One town after another fell, not because they were burned, but because surrender meant survival. Resistance meant watching your warriors outflanked in minutes by horsemen you never even saw coming. And here's a fact that almost no one talks about. The Oyo cavalry adapted their gear and techniques. Instead of wearing heavy metal armor like North African riders, Oyo warriors wore light cotton, infused with charms and stiffened with local materials. Flexible, fast, and resistant to blade cuts. Some European observers said these cotton tunics, combined with spiritual protections, made the cavalry feel invincible. And yeah, they even used early psychological warfare. Drums that mimic thunder, smoke and mirrors, literally, to confuse enemies during dawn raids. A tactic so effective, some enemies swore they were being attacked by spirits. But like all great powers, the rise of the Oyo cavalry came with cracks. By the late 18th century, internal power struggles, economic shifts, and slave trade pressures weakened their coordination. Without unity, even the best tactics collapse. The cavalry, once feared across the region, began to lose its bite. Still, the legacy remains. The Eso warrior code survives in Yoruba culture. Some families today can trace their lineage to these elite horsemen, men who live by honor, loyalty, and strategy. And in the world of ancient military brilliance, the Oyo Cavalry deserves a seat at the table. So the next time someone brings up Genghis Khan or Alexander the Great, ask them if they know about the Oyo Riders, the warriors who could disappear like ghosts and return like thunder. If you learned something new today, turn on the notification bell, smash that like button, subscribe for more lost African history. And remember, sometimes the most advanced tactics come from the places the world forgets. This is 9-Jar Relics. Until next time, ride fast, think sharp, and stay legendary.